Hello everybody, this is Peter at Bobcat Cam UK, and a few people have been asking me how we machine a 3D model. So what I'm going to do is bring in a 3D model and show some toolpaths generated using Bobcat. So if I go into File, Open, and what I'm going to do is just bring in a SolidWorks file, and you can see there I've got myself a 3D model that I want to machine in Bobcat. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the software I'm going to do some milling. I'm going to call up my machine at the beginning. I'm going to use that, which will bring in the pulse processor that's set for that. I'm going to go into the stock wizard, and what I'm going to do is create a rectangular piece of material around the model. So if I select just continue, and you can see the software's already recognized the model and it's put the sizes in. You can see the length, width and the height, and it's taken from the workspace. What I also want to do is I'm going to add a little bit of stock in there. So in the X negative I'm just going to add 5, in the positive I'm going to add 5, Y negative I'm going to add 5, and the Y positive I'm going to add 5. So you can see now I've put some stock around there. I'm going to carry on pressing continue. Anytime you see this continue still highlighted, you need to continue with it rather than press OK. So we press continue because now what it's going to ask me for is the datum for the job, and at the moment I want it set in the middle. I'm happy with that. I'm also going to do a little bit of a work offset for simulation purposes. I'm just going to lift it up 35, and you can see that's highlighted out now. So if we press OK, we can see now we've created the stock, we've got the machining, we've got the posting, the machining, sorry, we've got the posting, we've got the milling stock, which if we just blank, I don't need it at the moment. So that front end screen where it's showing you how to set things up, you can see that's a bit more friendly and making picking up a lot faster than say in version 25. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go into here now, and I'm going to create myself just a mill 2 axis because I want to do some pocketing. I'm going to select the geometry. Now in a lot of other software you've actually got to extract information off the model and get lines, etc. Well, in Bobcat you don't need to do that. We can actually just select surfaces or edges or vertexes, whichever. So at the moment it's asking me to pick a surface that I want to machine. Well, I actually want to machine that pocket there. So if I just left click, you can see it turn red, press my right mouse button and select OK. You can see when I go next that it's, if we just put the top as my rapid, 2 milli off my top, you can see that it's highlighted the pocket that we're going to machine. We also get the choice here now to pick the features within the pocket. So the top of the feature is set at Z0, but if I just wanted to pick it, I could just go into pick. When I come to the model, you can see how it highlights the edge. I'm just going to left click that. That tells me where that is. I'm also going to pick the bottom as well. So if I come onto here and just highlight that, you can see it's picked the bottom as well. Select next. We're going to do some pocketing. I'm not going to do any profiling, I'm just going to do some pocketing. Next, using work offset number 1, I'm going to put a 16 milli tool in there, put some length in there for my cutting flutes, which is 30. I'm going to use the speeds and feeds set in the software, and you can see it's allocated tool number 1. Here's where I can put my different coolants on. Select next. I'm going to pocket out. I want to be climb milling. I'm going to use a 25% step over. Next, I want to leave 0.5 or half a milli on the sides, and I'm going to leave 0.2 on the bottoms so when I finish it. I also want to go down in different depths. At the moment I've just got single depth, so if I select multiple steps, say I went round in 3 milli cuts, it'll actually, if we just go back, it will actually equate how many cuts there is in there. Select next. We're going to spiral in there, and I'm just going to use 3. Select next and closest, and tell it to compute the toolpath, and you can see there it's computed the toolpath. We can simulate this if we just go into modules and go into mill simulation. Depending on what version of the software you've got, I mean, I've got the I'm just going to move that out a bit so I can see what I want, which is, that's good. I've got the machine simulation turned on, but I'm going to turn my machine off. Depends which version of the software. If you've got the Pro version, Simulation Pro, it will show the machine as well. But this would be standard in the standard software. I'm going to turn the toolpath off, and what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to run it, and you can see it's spiraling its way inwards and then taking out the steps. Speed the process up, and you can see now we've roughed out that pocket. Turn the simulation off. Okay, so what I've done now is I've machined that. Now what I want to do is I want to actually do this again, but I want to do it on in this pocket here. So I can just, all I'm doing is just bringing that back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the feature and paste the feature. So it's giving me, that's another way of doing it, is where I can copy a feature and paste the feature in. So what I want to do then is just rerun it again. So I'm going to pick my geometry, reselect. Now if I pick that face, you have to be careful because it can see 2 boundaries. You can see this boundary on the edge of here and that boundary there, so it'll end up just machining and leaving that there. But once again in Bobcad, all we need to do is just highlight the outer perimeter that I want, just left click, right click, constant Z, and press OK. Now I've got the geometry in there. We'll just edit the feature. Once again, everything's set the same. I'm going to pick the top of the job, which is this line here, and I'm going to pick the bottom of the job, which is that line there. You can see it put in a different one. Select next, 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 telling it where I'm leaving material on. Everything's the same, nothing changes, and then tell it to compute the toolpath. And you can see now it's created another toolpath at that length there. So you've got 2 different pockets at 2 different depths. Once again, we're still picking off the model. We aren't extracting any information from the model, we're just using the model itself. That's was me as I was copying a feature. I can, if I want to, actually save a feature. We're going to call it roughing. Select save, and now I've got that feature again. So imagine I want to do this one, this pocket now. What I can do is right click and I could load a feature, and now I've loaded a feature. So what I need to do then is I need to right click and we need to reselect. So this is the boundary. I don't need to pick that surface because they're moles. We're going to pick that edge there, right click, constant Z, press OK. So it's picked the boundary. I'm going to go into the feature, right click, edit the feature. I'm going to pick the top of the feature, which is that one, and I'm going to pick the bottom of the feature, which is that one, and you can see that is at a different depth. Select next, 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 next. Everything's the same, just run through it and compute, and you can see now that's at a different depth. Now what I want to do this time is I've got this block here at the moment, and I've got the top of this further below. It's about 3 milli below that surface. So what I want to do is pocket all that out up to that face, up to that surface there. So what I'm going to do now is just close that feature up, and what I'm going to do then is load the feature, select open. You can see we've created that feature. What I need to do now is I need to reselect the geometry, So I'm going to pick just that outside line there, right click, constant Z, and press OK. And then what I need to do then is just get the feature, edit the feature. Everything's the same. I want to pick the top of the feature, which is this line here, and I want to pick the top of the feature, which is that one. Let's go in there again. Edit, pick the top of the feature, which is at 0, which it has done. Pick the bottom of the feature. I actually want to go down to this level here, which is only 3 milli deep. Select next, pocketing, next, 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 next. Everything's the same, and compute the toolpath. So now we've milled into there, we've only gone 3 milli deep. If I just go into modules, mill simulation, turn off the machine, turn off the toolpath, and what I can do then is just simulate it going round. That one's at a different depth, that one's at a different depth, and that one I've just gone round to that depth there. So what I want to do then is machine this feature. I want to go down here with a smaller tool and probably into there with a different tool. I'm just going to hide the toolpaths at the moment, so if I just go into there and just blank the toolpaths out for a minute, I know they're turned off there. So what I want to do now is I want to load a feature, select OK, open, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reselect the geometry, and I'm going to pick this bottom edge. Well, I can pick that surface actually rather than the edge. Left click, right click, and select OK. I'm going to edit the feature itself. I'm going to pick the top of the job, which happens to be this line here, and you can see it's -3. So let's just start it at -2.5, and I'll pick the bottom of the feature, which is going down to there, which is -14.5. You can see it's highlighted it. Select next, next, next. I'm actually going to change my tool for this. I'm going to put an 8 milli tool in. Tool number, which will be the tool number 2. Speeds and feeds the same. Next. I'm going to pocket out 25. Next. Leave the same. Next. I'm going to spiral in just the same. Next. And compute. And you can see now it's machined from the top of there down to there. I'll also call that feature in again, load a feature, and what I'm going to do here then is I'm going to pick this one up here. So if I repick the geometry, reselect, I'm going to pick that bottom face, right click and select OK. I'm going to edit the feature, and I'm going to pick the top of the job, which is this edge here, which is -12, so we'll start that at -11. Pick the bottom of the feature, which is that bottom line there, and you can see there it's machined the pocket out there as well. So if I turn all these back on again, so let's just go into here and unblank the toolpaths, take that back up to there, and what I'll do then is I'll simulate all them pocketing. So if we go into modules, mill simulation, turn that off, turn my toolpaths off, and what I'll do then is run the simulation, and you can see where I've picked up and just pocketed. Close that down. You You can see on the model where I've just picked up areas on the model. You don't have to extract anything, all you have to do is just pick an edge or pick a surface, and you can see there I've done some pocketing. Hopefully that'll help you get started, and thank you for watching.